These episodes are intended for mature audiences. Viewer and listener discretion advised.
My friends was like, oh, let's start working out at like 6 a.m. And I was like, okay. And like we randomly just started going, and she kind of dropped off after a while, and somehow I just kept going with it. It was like the best I'd ever done, but coming off of that, I had some struggles like trying to get back to like my body by bodybuilding shows, things like that. Cause you think that it's just like, oh, we're leaning out or whatever the case is. But like that obsession can become pretty deadly depending on if you have the mental space to be able to handle that. So 21 days of prayer, I had that whole thing at church. So I had a group of people at church that I was really close to, and I could talk to them about it. My coach, my family, making sure that like I'm not just like up in the middle of the night eating a bunch of food.
Yeah. People keeping you accountable for what you're doing.
I'm sorry. Hello.
Oh.
I'm Paris.
Oh my God. Okay, guys. Paris has officially taken over my podcast. Oh God, guys, welcome to another episode. Today I have my sister from another Mr. and Mrs. Paris. Welcome to the podcast, Paris.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Okay, first question I ask everybody. If you're 18, graduating from high school this year, what advice would you give yourself?
I would say like just go into like this next decade with not so high expectations. Like allow yourself to try new things. Don't get too stuck in like one specific area. Like literally just try whatever you want to do. Like this is your decade, your time of life to like experiment. Don't hang up on like milestones of age, because all of those you eventually get rid of all of them. Like just let yourself be free, enjoy, experiment, and decide later on what you want to, lock in on.
Okay. Good advice. So tell us about who you are from the time you were born to who you are today.
Ooh, that's a long story. Okay, so I was born on a military base, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I basically grew up, lived my whole life on a military base up until pretty much 18 or 17 when I went to college. Lived like a solid amount of time. I was one of those military kids who didn't move a lot, but all my friends moved a lot. So lived a lot of time in North Carolina. Then we moved to Belgium when I was in junior high. And that's where I met Gina. Went to high school in Belgium. Then graduated, went to Michigan State University, got my bachelor's in apparel and textile design. Did that career field for like 2 internships and decided I hated it. Then moved on to fitness. This is like all in my like early 20s, moved into the fitness space, did like the YouTube bodybuilding, personal training thing, the whole shebang. And then decided I wanted to live in the city. So at 25, I decided to pack up everything, move to Atlanta. And I was personal training there. But then as supplemental income, I started working at an eating disorder facility at front desk. And then COVID hit. And I started working as a like therapeutic assistant. So essentially like somewhat of a counselor, I guess, like caregiver to patients with like severe eating disorders. So I've worked with like anorexia, bulimia, then like other disorders, OCD, anxiety, depression, all that. And I've been doing that for the last 4 years with some passion projects on the side. And here we are now.
Okay. So tell me what happened in the fashion industry that made you walk away?
I think I just realized that it just wasn't what I thought, or maybe at the time, I didn't feel like it aligned with like who I was at the time. I was like already kind of like doing some fitness stuff, but just kind of for me, like I was working out and going to the gym, stuff like that. And I was like an athlete in high school. So I just like, I guess that was always kind of something I was passionate about. So I was already kind of in that space, and then I did an internship in New York, like literally New York City fashion industry there, then went to Beverly Hills and worked in LA for that time. And I was just like, these are not my people. I don't feel like we have the same like wants or like things that excite us. Like, I don't know. It just was like very weird to be in that space. So I was like, let me just like completely focus on what I love at the time, which was fitness. And then just move straight into that.
Okay. So, your advice at the beginning of like trying everything, it does it stem from that? And did like you feel like an outsider during that time?
I think it stems from that, but I think mostly that advice comes from just like I'm at the tail end of my 20s, like I'm about to turn 30 this year. I know. I know. Literally have 2 months left.
I know.
So yeah, it just comes from just being on the tail end of this decade and realizing like there was so many things that I thought were going to happen by this time. Like I literally in my mind was supposed to be married with 2 kids by now. Like, I'm sorry, no. So it's just kind of like, it comes from a place of like seeing that there really is no timeline. And I think that everyone kind of has this weird thought of like by 30, like something about 30 is like this big time where you're like, everything has to be together. And once you get there and that stuff isn't where you thought it was going to be, you're like, oh wait, there really is no timeline. Like I can do whatever I want to do. Like, it's just almost needing to get to that literal age to be like, the end of the world isn't here. Like I still have life to live. I still have things I can do. Like, so I think it's just getting to the end of the decade that made me give that advice. But I didn't feel like an outsider at the time. I think I just felt like it wasn't something I was passionate about. And I think I've always been the type of person who felt like if I'm not completely passionate about something, why am I wasting my time doing it? So I think that's what moved me away from that.
Okay. So what sparked your like passion about fitness? Like, yes, we were both athletes. We won a championship in high school and all that. But what was truly the drive? Because you could have went in that direction while we were in high school, but what sparked it later on in life?
I don't know. I think it was like it was also just kind of like it was a thing at the time. Like it was almost like I don't know. Like I knew in high school that I was like more of an arts type person. I wasn't like a finance doctor, math, like none of that side of the brain was like anything I was ever really passionate about. So I was like, it's either going to be like arts or I'm going to be like an athlete. And I clearly was not good enough to be an athlete in college. So I just kind of let all that go. I wasn't working out, doing any of that stuff. Then like around junior year of college, I just kind of like, one of my friends was like, oh, let's start working out at like 6 a.m. And I was like, okay. And like we randomly just started going and she kind of dropped off after a while and somehow I just kept going with it. And then it just made me realize like I love the ability that I have to be able to move my body. I love just being fit, like doing it not because of a sport, but just like having something to like get up, go do, start a routine off of that. And then just like I just started strength training and was like, I really like this. I have something I can like look forward to. So then it became an obsession, I guess. And then there was a bunch of like, that was kind of like the influx of like fitness influencers at the time. And I was like, oh, like I didn't even realize this was like a job that I could do. Like, so in my mind, I was like, I'm just going to be a fitness influencer, I guess. So then that's when it kind of been like I saw those girls competing and I was like, oh, there's like a thing I can do that's still kind of like feeding that athlete in me. Like, oh, there's like a trophy I can get, or there's like a thing I can do. So I was like, okay, cool. Let me do that.
And so you got into bodybuilding?
Huh?
You got into bodybuilding?
Yeah. Like that's how bodybuilding came along. And it made me kind of think about how it was to kind of be an athlete, like all my life, because that's what I was before that. So that's kind of where that obsession kind of kept going. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to be bodybuilding, might as well personal train. And then like, that's kind of how that came from.
And now like you do things with mental health. Do you think like the fitness, like getting into the fitness helped you like with your mental health? And did that lead to this job that you have now? Or was it just kind of, you fell into it?
low key, I got voluntold to do it. So I think it did. When I look back on it, it definitely all like lines up.
Mm-hmm.
I had some struggles like coming off of my last competition. I went to nationals and got fourth place, which was like a really big deal. And that was like the best I'd ever done. Like was but coming off of that, I had some struggles like trying to get back to like my body. You lose a lot of weight
Mm-hmm.
when you're bodybuilding. And it kind of, especially for females, it kind of like messes up hormones, and then you kind of have a hard time like refeeding yourself. And so I actually was driving Uber when I first moved to Atlanta. Like that was one of the kind of side hustles. And one of the people that I picked up said he was a security guard at the place I work now. He's like, oh, I work with kids with eating disorders. And we were talking about like fitness stuff. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like I can just get into that. But I never planned to like work in mental health. Like maybe in high school, I was like, oh, that'd be like cool to go into psychology because I just like the way the brain works, but it wasn't like a real thing. So I kind of just like steps started lining up, and then COVID hit, and they were like, hey, you can either be front desk that you've been doing now and we can cut your hours, or you can like learn how to be a caregiver. And I was like, I need money. I need money and I can't train because everyone's at home. So guess I'll be a caregiver. And I was really good at it. And here we are 4 years later. So.
It's true. She was the mom of our group, so it makes sense that at the end of the day, she ends up taking care of somebody else. But it's true. It's true. But like, with your mental health, you said like, the refeed was hard. Like, how did you not go through what the kids that you take care of now? How did you not go through, anorexia and bulimia and different things like that?
I think like, first of all, I knew some stuff about like anorexia and bulimia. It is kind of talked about a little bit in the fitness world, but like honestly, nowhere near as much as it should be. Especially in the bodybuilding circuit, like that happens a lot. And it's masked by bodybuilding shows, things like that. Cause you think that it's just like, oh, we're leaning out or whatever the case is. But like that obsession can become pretty deadly depending on if you have the mental space to be able to handle that. So I was just in a place where I could handle it. I never wanted to remain a certain look. Like I just thought it was fun to compete. But like after I was done competing, I wasn't like, let me try to stay a certain look or let me make sure I'm eating a certain way. I think genuinely when I struggled with it, it was just literally my body chemistry trying to like even out. And my mind was like, hold up. Like I've never lost this much weight before. Like my mind was like, bro, you got to eat something. Like, this is crazy. So it was just kind of like hormonally. But I always had a very clear understanding that like, I was not going to take any drugs. I was not going to like do anything that was super extra to like make bodybuilding become more, and then there was like a prayer group, like when I was going through all that stuff, and that kind of helped like reinforce the, like, I was like, I need to go to this thing. Like, I'm stressed out. I don't know what's going on. Like I was scared of my own body. That had never happened to me before. So like doing that as well kind of helped me.
What do you mean you were scared of your own body?
It just got to a point where I was like binging. Like once I was coming off of that competition, it was like my body needed more food. And I was getting to a point where I was like literally going to eat something. And I would look up 20 minutes later and I've like gorged on like food, and it was nuts. That had never happened to me before. Like I love food. I have no terrible relationship with food at all. So it was just like, I don't trust myself to even sit in front of a meal without like having some sort of self-control,
Okay.
So that scared me, and it made me kind of like dig into my faith a little more, which it was always kind of like very strong when I was bodybuilding. And then I just kind of was like, all right, like I can either get it together right now or have some serious problems. And that was never my intention. So I just kind of was like, girl, get it together.
So yeah, what did you put into place to get back to your mindset of, this is my body, I look good, I can eat what I want to eat, and also work out when I need to, so that I'm not doing too much?
one, my coach was there. So I had hired a coach for that competition. So he was there for a lot of that first beginning part to kind of be like, hey, this is what you need to do to get back to your body. Like, do the things you need to do. And I'm very like, if I have a coach, if I have someone like there, I'm like very good about like following to a T.
Mm-hmm.
So that helped me get out of the very beginning for sure. I went to seek out an eating disorder therapist, but that did not work out. That was kind of a traumatic experience. And we never even got to the first session.
Oh, wow.
So that didn't work out. But doing my, 21 days of prayer, I had that whole thing at church. So I had a group of people at church that I was really close to, and I could talk to them about it. My coach, my family, making sure that like I'm not just like up in the middle of the night eating a bunch of food.
Yeah. People keeping you accountable for what you're doing.
Yeah, I had a lot of people that kept me accountable. So it worked out.
Hey guys, I wanted to take a quick break to ask if you are enjoying this episode. Go ahead and follow us on Stories of a Dandelion right here on Spotify or wherever you're getting your podcast, as well as follow us on all of our social media accounts. Let's create this community full of military brats who feel that they're okay with opening up about their mental health, about sharing their journey, what they're going through, and create a place for beautiful healing through stories. So again, please go ahead and follow us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, as well as all of the social media accounts. Now let's get back to today's episode. So what advice would you give somebody who may be going through that right now, body dysmorphia and not feeling like themselves?
100% seek help. 100% seek help. It is one of those things that is a slippery slope. If you have no control, you just don't have control over it. You have no control over it, except that you have no control over it. Seeking help is 100%. I would rather you have a bunch of people who are helping you get through it when you don't need it than have zero support and you're trying to tell yourself you're in control of it, because you're not.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I get it. Like for me, I don't know. I've never gone through that, but like I do remember going to one of your bodybuilding things, and I was like, "This looks cool." Not for me, but, but yeah, it looks fun. I understand the discipline that comes with it, what you learn from it, but I don't know. I just love food so much. I couldn't cut back. You know me. Like, but I do work out and stuff like that. But I think all of us, like as women, go through a time where it's like, I don't like my body, and you want to make that difference, but you also don't want to go to the extreme and like do too much. And then, just seeing a lot of people coming out about like, yeah, I used to, throw up or this and that, and like. It's pretty interesting to see, and it's really sad because your body's a temple. Your body is this thing that you're meant to take care of, and sometimes because of society, it can make you feel like your body's this ugly thing.
Yeah,
but it's really not.
Yeah.
So you sharing your story, I'm sure somebody else is going to listen and be like, "That was me. I went through that, and I can. If she can get through it, I can get through it as well."
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So tell me about like what you do as far as like being a caregiver. Like what does that entail on a daily basis?
It's intense. I've moved up from kind of that, and now I teach group therapy. So pretty much I'm the highest you're going to get before you actually have to get a license to be a therapist.
Okay.
But yeah, I oversee, like I have a whole unit that I oversee. And right now I'm doing only the partial hospitalization. So basically my patients are only at the hospital for about 6 hours in the day. So it's almost like going to work. They have a whole week, Monday through Saturday, that they go. I work with them Monday through Friday, and I essentially oversee their meals, coach them, teach them how to eat, teach them what the fear is, help them just kind of understand their own minds and help them rebuild a healthy relationship with food and their bodies. So that's the short version of what I do all day.
Yeah. But it sounds like, like you going into fitness kind of prepared you for this, and then like whatever you're going to do after, because I believe you still want to, coach people and do that type of thing? Am I lying? Am I
I'm in a weird spot with it. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, whenever people ask me, like, do you that it's really interesting. Do you like your job? I never say yes, and I never say no. I
Mhm.
never say yes because it is very taxing. Like the little stuff with bodybuilding, like all that stuff I'm saying, I'm like, I don't want to turn anyone away from like fitness, bodybuilding. I mean, I loved bodybuilding. I
Yeah.
still to this day love bodybuilding. I would
Yeah.
probably do it again. It is just for specific people if you can handle that.
Mhm.
When you go into the space that I am now in, where you're
Mhm.
talking like diagnosed anorexia,
Mhm.
diagnosed bulimia, like diagnosed OCD, like those are things where you're like, fitness brought me into the space
Mhm.
in a way, but it could never have prepared me for like what I do now. Like my entire brain chemistry is different from the things that I've seen working in a hospital for
Mhm.
like almost medically unstable people
Mhm.
who like have that severe of a disease. Like so it's just I don't know that I'm kind of in a crossroads of like, do I want to continue with this or do I want to take a complete step back from mental health? Because in that, you also have to like take care of yourself. And like
Mhm.
sometimes all of that, especially like being the only person to take care of like 12, 13 patients, like
Yeah.
it's pretty taxing. So I don't
Yeah.
know
So,
what I want to do with it, but I'm very grateful for the experience I've had, the patients I've
mhm.
met. They've taught me so much. And it's very rewarding to see them go from that really hard place
Yeah,
to being able to leave and live their life.
that's good. So it's taxing. What do you do at the end of the day to relax, kind of get your mental health back in check?
No. um, well, depends on the day.
Okay,
One,
okay, okay. Let's start off with an easy day. The
right.
day wasn't too hard, and then the
Yeah.
next one we'll talk about like the hard days.
Whew, yeah. The easy days, you know, what's easy? It's just another Tuesday.
Mhm.
Everybody's easy is different. I just say
Mhm.
like one for sure. I turn off my notifications. You can when I clock out, you literally cannot reach me. It's like I don't exist. Don't talk to me. Don't call me. No.
She's not
Um,
wrong. If I text her, it takes her like 3 days.
yeah, literally, you need to like. I'm like, I don't work here when I'm off. Like, don't talk to me. Because you got it. Like, you will get emails 70
Yeah,
emails at the end of the day.
that's
So
true.
I separate myself. I don't even go to that side of town, low key. Um, what's over there for me? Nothing. And I just, all jokes aside, I try to focus on social life. I try
Mhm.
to do the things that I enjoy, my little side passion projects that I love that have nothing to do with mental health whatsoever.
Can
Putting,
I hear about what these side passions are?
oh no, that's that's on the to be continued.
Fine. Next time, guys.
That's on
I
the next
tried.
episode.
I tried.
You tried.
I was like, what are these
That's
side projects?
funny.
Like, I'm just, well, tried. Next time. Anyway, continue.
Yes, but that's what I do. I just try to find things that have nothing to do with that and just allow myself to ground myself back into who Paris is and not Paris as the behavior health specialist.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hard days.
Hard days. Hard days. Same thing, honestly.
Yeah.
I just distract. We talk a lot. I'd spend a lot of time. Sometimes at the end of the day, we'll kind of like I'll have another person who runs the other side of the unit on my same floor.
Mhm.
And we're close friends too. So we'll just kind of spend some days like dumping and being
Mhm.
like, bro, this patient today, like, we'll do the whole thing because you need that.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to, I used to talk to my parents about it all the time. I call them and be
Mhm.
like, oh my God, this thing happened. But like when you're not in that environment, when you're not in that space, like
Mhm.
one, it's hard to talk about it because you literally cannot talk about who it is. Like it's a
Yeah.
HIPAA violation.
Mhm.
But then also it's like, I cannot make this stuff up. Like, it's like, there's just such a clear difference, and you don't want to
Mm-hmm.
just be dumping that on people who don't know what that means.
Yeah.
So we spend a lot of time like kind of going over the day, trying to like get it all out, and then when it's time to get in the car and go home, like complete separation. Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, I'm reading the book called, I told Connor this last episode, The Body Holds Trauma. So like you like saying
I
about
know
like,
that
yeah,
book.
yeah, like, dumping things and letting things go and kind of separating yourself. It's really important. Um, for
Yeah.
me, it's kind of hard for me to do that, like separate
Mhm.
myself. But when I was working with kids,
Yeah.
um, oof, some of those days, because some of them have ADHD, some of them have
Mhm.
autism, some of them have both, and
Yeah.
like so like you'd sit there one day and kid can be good, next day somebody's like trying to crack their head open.
Facts.
So
Facts.
yeah, yes, like coming
Ooh.
home and just being like, I really don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
I nearly tried my best not to choke somebody out today. So
Right. Right.
like,
You're
I
like, I just need
completely,
to drive home in silence. I'm gonna sit on my couch and sit in silence.
for
And
real.
when that's over, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but it's gonna be complete silence.
Yep. Oh my god. Just coming home and like taking off the shirt and like taking a shower because well, at one point, like I would come home and give my mom a hug, and like she would start getting sick, and I realized that the germs from the kids, like I was used to them, but she wasn't. So
Yeah.
like I had to be like, all right, let me, take a minute, take care of myself, and then
Yeah.
like kind of so it was more than just like keeping the germs from her, but giving me time to kind of be like, all right, day's done. I can get into like kind of the home thing.
You
Sometimes
need
it
to
would run
rest.
over, but
Yeah.
it happens.
Yeah. That decompression is super important.
Yes, very. So I've noticed that you're not on, social media as much anymore. I was wondering, like why not? What happened? Once fitness,
Mm.
you were on it. Now it's kind of like, it's there every now
Yeah.
and then. I'll show my face. So what was the transition and why?
I think after I stopped coaching, because at the time I owned my own business, it was like a full blown business. I kind of had to, like, I had to show up for social media because that was the only way that I was going to get clients, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very important that I like remain on it, always post, and I think that also kind of made me realize that I didn't love fitness as much as or at least what I needed to do to maintain that business,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't really like showing up on social media. I was like, I don't feel like getting ready to post. Like, I don't feel like editing this thing to post. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not necessarily, I'm not like I want everybody to see my life type of person anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always kind of a struggle to like do the YouTube thing, post every day. Like, I'm just not, I'm a private person anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So once I stopped coaching, I was like, sick. I ain't gonna post no more. So I just kind of stopped, and here and there I'll do my like little monthly photo dumps because there's some pictures I'm like, oh, and I posted them on social media. But for the most part, I'm just like, I want to live and I want to like see the world without my phone, and like
Mm-hmm.
if I remember to take it, that's the other thing too. I also don't remember to take pictures. I'll be doing something so exciting and I'm like, bro, I want to take a picture. And then it's like the end of the night and I'm like, I took one. Like, what? Like, I'm like, how am I like what? It's a whole thing.
Same. I
Yeah.
do the same thing. I think as a millennials, that's what we do. Like
Oh yeah.
we kind of we grew up in social media for a minute, and now we're kind of like, it's been real, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna back off a little bit.
Now, am I on my app? 100%. I'm always on social media. Always on social media. Do I post? No. But am I on my explore page every second of the day? For sure. And I'm working on that. So am I
Hurry
on
her
it?
folks, guys. She's addicted to social media.
Bro, I'm like, I have to put screen time on my
Yeah.
social media because I'm like, why am I on this?
Yeah.
It's the whole thing.
Same.
Yeah.
Like, because it's like when you have nothing, we don't know how to be bored anymore. Oh my god,
Yeah.
it's the worst. It's the
Yeah.
worst. But all right, because we're short on time, I'm gonna give you your time to do whatever you have to do next. Tell me first, if you're not going to be doing, mental health therapist anymore, what are you looking to transition into, and how are you looking to do that? Uh-oh.
On
Making
next
her think.
episode.
Don't play with me. Don't do that. People are going to be like, her episode was like 2 minutes. Like, what?
Yeah, they're going to be like, does she know what she wants to do with her life? The answer's no.
It's okay. No, nobody does.
Yeah, I've been thinking about, I'm like, okay, could I be a therapist? Yes, I think I would be really good at it. I have years of experience at this point. It's just, long story short, I don't know. I've been weighing a bunch of options, but I'm also kind of in a spot now, like what I was saying kind of earlier. I'm like, I'm about to turn 30. I'm at a spot where I'm like, I don't need to know. I don't need to know. I'm just going to keep looking. I'm going to keep seeing what's out there. I'm going to like see what interests me, obviously with the experience I have, which is in like several fields. I'm just going to see. And if I don't know, then I don't know. And I'm single. I have no responsibilities outside of myself. Like there's no one I have to hurry up and figure it out for. So I'm just going to
even then, you shouldn't have to figure it out for them either, but
Well, right. I mean, but it's like, I don't have to like handle a child. Like I have to be like, hey, I need to get my life together.
A child. Okay. I thought you meant like a significant other. I was like, a significant other.
No, like, it's not like I have like people that I need to be like, hey, here's my job. Like, so I'm just going to figure it out. But I definitely don't know right now. And that's okay.
Okay. Well, this might be a difficult next question then. This is the last question I typically ask.
Okay.
An idea of where you'll be 5 years from now.
An idea of where I'll be 5 years from now. To me, that question, there's my passion projects, which are under wraps right now.
Under wraps, nobody knows. I'm just bleeping that whole part out. Passion project, bleep, bleep.
Bleep, bleep, bleep. No one cares about passion projects. There's my passion projects, which are under works. So I see those taking form fully in the next 5 years. But like I said, I'm a private person, which is why I haven't talked about it yet, but it's going to come.
It's cool. She'll be back, guys.
I'll be back. But after that, it's really more of like, I would like to at least have created a relationship in my life, thought about starting a family. I'm not going to like put no times on it because there was a time in my life where I thought I was going to have my first kid at 24. Jokes. Literally jokes. So, I just want to be spiritually sound. I want to be financially sound, and I want to be emotionally sound. At that point, the rest will come because all of those things will be together. That is my main focus right now. Like career stuff, I'm okay. I have a house. I have the things that I need to survive. Everything else is extra right now. Like the things that I need to like become fully who she is.
Oh, not she.
The finances, the emotional, and the spiritual. After that, everything else is a gift, a bonus, whatever.
Okay. All right. One question. Do you go to therapy?
I've been to therapy. I'm not currently in therapy, but I have been to therapy.
Okay. Yeah. Would you start it up again?
100%. Okay. Yeah, 100%. If I ever felt like it was needed, and not that I need to be in like a really dark place to start therapy.
Yeah.
Get it before it starts, But no, I'm 100% full on like support of therapy. I think it's wonderful. I had an amazing time with my therapist. I found a wonderful therapist. So yeah, I would totally go back. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Every now and then you need a little checkup, a little check in.
Yeah.
Like everything.
Be like,
else.
hey, let's just see how the brain's working right now.
Yeah. Totally understandable. Well, thanks, sis, for, giving me a little bit of your time.
Yeah.
I love you much. Thank you for coming on, and I'm excited to hear about your passion projects in the future.
Oh yeah, just keep the podcast going. We'll check back in 5 years.
Sounds good. Oh God, it's 5 years. Come on.
Just give it 5. No one's gonna
Well, I
remember.
mean, in 5 years with this, I hope like it's beyond this, like in a room, get my
Oh yeah, we
little
won't be here. We won't
studio.
be here.
Yeah, nah,
Yeah, we'll be like in your cool little couch with your like plants and your
yep,
like whole thing. Yeah,
yep.
that'd be great.
I'm excited. Can't wait. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Love you
Yes,
much.
love
Thank you
you.
again.
Proud of you.
Thank you. Hey guys, thank you for tuning in for another episode on the Stories of the Dandelion podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please go and share it with a friend, a colleague, or even a family member. And make sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms so you can stay up to date on when the episodes are coming out and what is involved in each episode. Thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you all next Military Brat Monday.